Ready?
Hello and welcome to Rhythm and Pixels, a video game music podcast, episode 20-2. We're your hosts. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm Pernell.
Every week we hang out and listen to great video game music of the past and the present. And if it's good, we're gonna listen to it.
All over the place, just music jamboree, baby.
Yeah, it's just everything, right? Have you been playing anything new this past week?
Yes and no. Review-wise, I've been getting my games in here and there. I didn't play a ton recently. I played Hero Land, which is a cool little game where you are an employee working at an amusement park where people come to fight monsters in dungeons, but the monsters are people dressed in monster costumes. It's a very interesting premise.
And you play an employee at the place?
Yeah, you play the tour guide.
Oh, that's
so
fun.
as you're leading them through the dungeons, you have to make sure they don't get killed as they're running through being heroes, so you can like heal them and give them guidance like, hey, maybe you want to target that guy. That's how you succeed at this part. It's like if you go like an amusement park, like a normal amusement park, and you go to one of those booths, like, okay, your whole goal is to get from here to the end of the haunted house or whatever.
Okay.
But you get that one guy that's like, I can't solve the puzzle in this room. And the guy comes out like the Dracula costumes, like breaks characters like, so what you want to do is actually bite that apple. The apple actually triggers the door. So you're that kind of guy.
Oh, okay.
And then aside from that, I've been slowly progging through Pokemon Sword and Shield.
How's that going?
I don't even know.
Slowly?
It's very slowly, which is not good because I need to be ready for MagFest because I'm Steel Guy there.
Yeah, that's
this
just
year.
a couple weeks? 3 weeks? Wow, that's real fast.
It's coming up very fast.
Really fast.
And I only just beat the 4th gym, so I might have to marathon it this weekend or last weekend when you're listening to the show. To try to like just speed through some of the stuff and just get to the end because I've been addicted to the wild area, just running around and fishing and checking, those stupid crystalline summon pods. I don't even know what the hell they're called.
I have not seen any of this, so I'm going to take your word for it.
It's a fun
so you
game.
run around looking for Tide Pods.
Yes.
Yeah.
You summon
You gotta do
Pokemon
laundry.
with Tide Pods.
The laundry Pokemon.
That's right.
Laundrymon.
Why is there not a... Wait, no, Rotom Wash. There is a laundry Pokemon.
Oh my god, I was like, there has to be, right?
There really is. Rotom Washing Machine, and he's actually one of the most popular Pokemon to use.
Really?
And the metagame, yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's like...
I'm not sure if he's in Sword and Shield or not, but I know like the metagame prior to Sword and Shield, he showed up in a lot of tournament teams.
Huh. That's pretty cool.
And for good reason, because he's a jerk.
I got back into Street Fighter V a little bit. I don't know why. I saw the new update was coming out, and I was like, I'm going to play some more. So I picked up Ryu.
Did it already happen? Because I know that the full version on disc is February, but I think you said the DLC is this month?
Yeah, so the full version on disc is in February. If you own it already, you can actually buy the update now before that disc release comes out. So you can get like, I think it's all of like the season 5 like updates. I don't think Gil is in it yet. Like the newest characters and stuff aren't going to be in it until February, but you get all of the patched like moves and all that other
new
stuff.
trigger.
I don't think that's in yet either. But like the scaling and all of the weighting and they do have everything. So I don't know. It was still working, I guess. The first night I went to put it in, I had to do an update and it took over an hour. And then I finally got the game going.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of the servers were down because of the update. So I couldn't play online. It was really frustrating.
But it's just you beating training dummies in anticipation so that when you actually get online, you
Yeah.
just burst forth with rage and just like decimate everybody.
Yeah, it was. I was like really thinking, am I going to play this again? So my main,
Yes.
probably my main when I first started playing ended up being Cammy because I like how much faster she was than everybody else.
And just Cammy.
And it's Cammy, she's cool. But now I'm thinking like I want to change it, so I'm gonna stick with Ryu.
It's going to be Yammy.
Yammy. I'm gonna play Jammy.
Or Hammy.
I'm Jammer Lammy.
I
It
wish.
should be Lammy.
How is that not a fighting game?
Okay, so good.
But before we chase out, I want to mention this because it just came to mind, or not came to mind, but it reminded me that I should say it. So for folks who are thinking about this, i.e. patrons and whatnot, usually we say at the end of the episode, but just figured knock it out. So we were talking earlier about the Patreon episode.
Yes.
And it's going to be, it may not be at the same time as normal. It might be like the very first week of January because with the holidays being what they are, it's going to get a little wonky donkey.
Yeah.
They're playing that both for us and for you guys. However, topics, boom, got them. I got the topic for this month, and I'll just tell you the topic for next month, too. Though, obviously, I can just bring it up again next month.
So for our Patreon stream topic is...
gifts to friends and loved ones. By that being music. Think of it as like a shout-out episode.
Oh, I like that.
So it'll be like, hey, if you have a spouse, to my loved one, I give you this track.
Yeah.
Because I feel as though the way it sounds makes me think of you when I listen to it. Or this track because it reminds me of you. Or this track because you need to get in gear.
Yeah.
Anything.
We could do it like old school radio DJs where it could be like, this one goes out to such and such because they gave him free guacamole when he was at Chipotle.
Nailed it.
Yes, perfect. That'd be fun. I like that.
I can't wait for that one. So that one's going to be gifts to friends, loved ones, Romans, countrymen.
Yep.
And then the next one for January will be a little weirder, but fine-ish. New Year's, new starts, new games. And by that, we mean new retro games. So games that you feel as though Rob and I should knock out, or at least attempt in 2020, get us on the right foot with good games. And of course, being Rhythm and Pixels, the link to good games is great tunes. So hit us up with tracks from games you think we should be playing or give a shot to.
Yeah, because 2020, I want to do more streaming because that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so I think that'll be like a good, like, hey, we should do these games. So something to think about. So one more thing on the top of the show to just sort of all this housekeeping stuff. So the end of December into January is going to be difficult with episodes. So that means that our live streamed episode for December for Patreon members will probably be the first week of January.
Yes.
So that's what's happening there. Also, the release dates of the episodes after this one is not going to be Monday anymore. Because I need to give myself more time to breathe and
live,
to be a human being.
Yes.
So we're going to move it to either Tuesdays or Wednesdays instead of Monday.
So what that ultimately means is you'll still get a new episode every week.
Yeah.
Just not the top of the week. So if you need it on Monday, back yourself up a week. Get it on Wednesday, listen on Monday.
Just back yourself up.
Just back it up a week.
Back it up. Yeah, so that's it. I mean, it may not sound like a lot to you. It means a lot to me. So we're going to do that. So after this week, that's when it'll be coming out. It might be some short. The next two episodes might be a little bit shorter as well. Just again because Pernell's traveling, and then I've got work stuff and holidays madness, and then more holiday madness, and then Magfest madness.
Boogaloo.
Which there might actually be some fun specials from that because so many of your favorite podcasting friends will be at Magfest this year at the same time.
Like Rombo, the dancing dice, and. I don't know, that other guy, the one with the shirt.
And
He'll be there.
And Bleeding Gums Murphy.
We all loved him.
Wow, no one loved Bleeding Gums Murphy.
Dr. Marvin Monroe.
So yeah, that's what's going on this year.
Life be crazy.
Life being crazy. But this week's episode topic is the PlayStation. It's the 25th
anniversary of the PlayStation brand.
The PlayStation 1. The brand, right? That's right. This is the very first PlayStation. Pernell, what was your experience with the first release of the PlayStation?
Well, actually, it's funny you ask that because I think about that a lot, and on just in general. So the PS1 came out back in. Let me see. I actually wrote it down because I was going to mention it with the song. The system came out in America on September 9th, 1995, which is funny because I honestly thought that Sega was the only one that nailed the 99-bit, but 9995 versus 9999. Anyway, this came out on that date. I didn't even know it was coming out. I heard nothing of it. Even though I got game magazines, I never read anything about this system. Just happened to be at a friend's house one day.
What were you playing at your time? What was your game jam?
On the PS1?
No, before the PS1 came out. Around the time that came out. What were you
Super
playing?
Nintendo.
So you were on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, I'd skipped the Saturn because I believe the Saturn came out in 94. I'd skipped the Saturn because it was too expensive and I ain't had that kind of money. I was broke.
Yeah.
But Super Nintendo was still kicking out some amazing titles such as Mario RPG. I don't think Chrono Trigger had come out yet. I'm almost positive Mario RPG had come out by then or it was near coming. Anyway, point is, there were still hot titles coming out on this console, and I was still playing them. So I didn't feel the need to upgrade. Also, Genesis I was playing as well.
Yeah, and the N64 wasn't gonna come, but it wasn't released until '97.
Yeah, it was a rumor at the time. It was
Wow.
still. I think this was still when they were calling it the Ultra 64, and they were talking about how great it was going to be.
That's right. Yeah.
But I get to a friend's house that like a month or so in, and one of that friend's friends brought over his PlayStation, which he had purchased, and he had a few games. He had, well, one of which I'll name for my first track later, but he had Jumping Flash. He had. Actually, I feel like that may be the game I'm going to name. He had Jumping Flash, and that's it. He may have had other games, but I don't think about those. That's just, ESPN Extreme Games. He had that too. And I was playing it, but I wasn't really feeling it. My thought back then was how a lot of more our younger listeners now were probably feeling about when Microsoft hit the scene, which is, where's this guys?
Yeah,
we got Nintendo, we got Sega.
What's Sony jumping in for, right?
Get back to making televisions. We don't want you. Get out of here. It's crowded. And then out of nowhere, you see how that turned. They pretty much started squashing faces and taking names.
Yeah.
And there's all she wrote.
So when the PlayStation was released, I wasn't playing a lot of video games. I had a Sega Genesis, and I was playing a lot of that. But in I think this was like high school. We were in high school. I got really involved in Atari. So I was into retro games, which I guess these games are now retro. But I was into retro games. So I was collecting Atari 2600, collecting 5200 and 7800 games.
No Coleco.
No. I only had so much space in my bedroom. So I was playing a ton of Atari at the time. And then suddenly one of my friends was like, you know what, like, I said, what were they playing? I think they got excited for Final Fantasy VII, and that's when I started seeing all my friends having this thing. Mm-hmm. And then I believe it was 97. I think it was either 97 or 98. I was on the school. Holy moly! It was 97 because our high schools changed because our high school was being renovated.
Okay.
We were going to Claymont.
Okay.
You remember? Because Claymont was like this. I don't even know if it's there. Is it still there?
I wasn't affiliated with that district, but my friend who moved to that side of town ended up going there, so I knew about the whole transfer through him. Yeah,
so we had to go to Claymont, and so I was suddenly having to take the bus, because before I was just either driving or just walking, because I live so close. And this kid on the bus, he was a year younger than me, he was trying to make some money for a school trip. And so he had a PlayStation with an extra controller. He had Wipeout. It was either Wipeout or Wipeout Excel. That tells you the date that it was in. And then like some Madden game I didn't care about. And he was going to sell it to me for like $50.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh my God, I actually have the money. I can actually do this. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I haven't had like a legit game system for myself like ever.
I don't know where this guy got this PlayStation from. They sell it for like $50,
other than the Atari that I got at a flea market. And like the Genesis, which was technically my brother's. So I was like, yeah, I'll do this. And I immediately fell in love with Wipeout. And then I immediately fell in love with pirated games.
Yes.
And yes, I'm a part of the problem. But
honestly, back then we all were, because let's be blunt. Piracy at the time was new. There was no protection on anything. It was the Wild West. If someone had a game, you would go to Blockbuster Video, rent a game, burn it, and then just take it back to the store.
Yep.
That's how simple it was.
That's, I mean, for better or for worse, like, that's what we did. I mean, that was my entry point into a lot of systems, because I'm just frugal to a fault. And I'll have more memories later on in the show. But, all of my picks for today's episode are from the launch games of the PlayStation in America.
And mine are not. When we were talking about the topic, my brain was originally thinking, PS1, let's go bonkers. And I started thinking, 25th anniversary of PlayStation, the brand or the console? And my thought was the brand. So I ended up picking tracks from across the different PS systems based on my time of getting the system or playing my first games on each respective console. So some fun stories to come out of each of those little tidbits.
I'm excited to hear them. So I'm going to start then with, this is a even numbered episode. I'm going to start with my first track from an absolute blast of a game, of a great multiplayer game. And I'm so glad. I had no idea it was a launch title. And it makes sense, because like all the launch titles, like there's like the launch titles range from fighting games, kind of fighting games, shooting games, racing games, and then this game, which is kind of like, you think about it, it's kind of like a kart racer. This is Twisted Metal for the Sony PlayStation. composed by, and I'm not sure which one exactly, but we have Chuck E. Meyers, Tom Hopkins, Lance Lenhart, and this is the Rooftop Battle. That was Rooftop Battle from the game Twisted Metal for the Sony PlayStation, composed by Chuck E. Meyers, Tom Hopkins, and Lance Lenhart. That is just the biggest track ever in a game that's just you driving around in cars, shooting missiles at each other. And one of them's like an ice cream truck.
Yeah, Sweet Tooth.
Sweet Tooth. Oh, my God.
That's the iconic car of the game.
Yeah. Oh, man, we had so much fun playing. We would just hours just multiplayer over and over and over again. And you get to this stage, or before this, like you're in parking lots and you're in cities, and it's just fun driving around, being all stupid and blowing stuff up. But on this stage, you're on rooftops, and you're knocking people off of like the ledges and stuff. It's crazy.
So were you like jumping between rooftops?
Yeah, you can like go real fast and like just go from rooftop to rooftop, and it's super dangerous, and it's really cool.
It's got an interesting premise too, because I remember I never got to play Twisted Metal aside from a bit of the second game, but I do remember that the premise of it was there's a guy named, of all names, I think it was like Calypso, some ridiculousness.
There's a story.
Yeah, there was a story. It was a goofy one.
I don't know any of that.
The Twisted Metal tournament was ran by a guy named Calypso who was pretty much a demon. And the whole concept was like, if you win the tournament, he'll give you anything you want, like a prize. But maybe my memory's a little jaunty because I've been trying to read up on it just to get my memory back on it. But I recalled almost all of the endings being like a monkey's paw sort of thing. Like, hey, I want this. And he's like, all right. And he gives it to you, but there's like a downside to it. Like, no, it's actually going to kill me when I eat the cake.
I mean, I treated this game like a fighting game. It's like, yeah, there's a story maybe, but like the fun was just playing with your friends. Like it felt like a kart racer. But I mean, you go back to look at these old 3D games now, they're hard to look at. They're dark and kind of gritty, and like all of the angles are kind of jagged. You know, like it wasn't like they didn't look great, but they were just fun to play.
It's all about the fun, though.
All about the fun. So we're gonna. I mean, the PlayStation was like that, right? Like a lot of these games are just
They were early 3D, but
3D.
they were beyond, like, say, what 3DO was attempting, where it was like mostly 2D. But because I barely dabbled with 3DO because it was a monkey, it was an irky. But
this is a time where they were like, okay, it's a CD system, but we're not gonna make a whole bunch of full motion video like garbage, right?
yeah, they were officially stepping out, and like that's why like a lot of the early PS1 games, there's always that question of like, do these games hold up? Because it's like early 3D modeling.
Yeah.
So like think of like Wild Arms battles, the battle rooms in Wild Arms, or Resident Evil 1 where you were walking around and all the characters were kind of moving their arms and junk, or even like some of the fighting games on the system, they were all just like these like weird like blocks that were just slapped together.
That's right.
But back then they looked cool because that was the best we had, and it was awesome to see them even get to that point. So that's also why flat out, like I've seen somebody post recently that they're announcing the Resident Evil 3's remake, and they've had 2 earlier this year, and of course there was 1 that had like a gajillion remakes. But like people were like, oh come on, I'm getting real sick of these remakes. I'm like, no, I'm sick of PS3 remakes, and I'm sick of this game, but now it's the Game of the Year version. But PS1 games and Saturn games with their early 3D, all of those deserve remakes. The good ones, anyway.
No, it's interesting. I played Resident Evil 2, I played 3, but I didn't really like get through them until they were re-released on the Sega Dreamcast.
Yeah, and
that's when I played them. And Code Veronica was Dreamcast, right?
Yeah, that was a release originally on the Dreamcast.
Yeah, and I was like, wait, it's 2 was on the Dreamcast, right?
It was, but what it was
the
1 and 2, and I think even 3 got on there, but they were all just ports. There was nothing new or special about them.
No, they were smoothed out. And the VMU, and now we're turning into a Dreamcast episode. But what I loved about it was that in the original Resident Evil games, you only knew how hurt you were by how
you had to go to the menu,
by how you had to either go to the menu or you had to look at how your guy was walking.
Doing the hobble animation.
But the VMU had a little LCD screen on it.
Oh, it showed the pulse,
and it showed your pulse right on there. It was amazing.
There was a lot of stuff.
It changed the game. I was like, why couldn't they just put this on the screen? Like,
yeah, but there was. I mean, don't get me wrong with the Dreamcast doing the VMU. It was cool, but I'm putting it on the screen. I think would be a bit of a disservice because if you were fighting a zombie or a dog or something, if your health bar was very present on the screen, I think a lot of the tension would go away. Whereas if you get bit and you're running from the guy and you're like moving, and then you're safe, you're out of the way, you go to the menu, it's like, how am I doing? Oh, good, I'm still in the green.
I just remember so well, like looking at the controller and being like, this is a quality of life thing they just did for me right here. Like, I just feel much better about this. But anyway, we can move on from that, and because I have some interesting PlayStation stories. Don't let me forget about my friend. I don't even want to call him out because there's some nefarious things that happened.
Was it Applejack?
Applejack?
Yeah, was it Applejack?
It was not Applejack. It
was it Ragamuffin?
It did take place at the back of a bookstore.
So it was Ragamuffin.
It was
totally Ragamuffin.
It was how teenage kids made some extra money with the PlayStation.
Yeah, that's a story you'll have to tell. You'll have to tell.
So look forward to that. All right, so what's the first one you're going to go with?
So my first track is going to come from the game Ballerina Toshinden.
Yes, all right.
And the track is the Kayin Amoh theme. Not the character I use, but it sure heck sounds good anyway.
Yeah, I don't remember. I remember this game, but I don't remember really playing it that much to have like a good memory of it.
I'll get into the idea because I'm in the same boat almost. But the composer of this track is Yasuniro Nakano.
Wow, what an ending, man.
Oh, that was Ballerina Toshinden. The Kayin Amoh theme, composed by Yasuhiro Nakano. Originally, I was going to pick the Ellis theme because that character is who I used to frequently use in the game, and also that is the track that I most remembered from the game. But this one knocked it out of the water.
Yeah, this is a Purnell track. It's got that swing beat. It's got that, I don't know, accordion. It's got that crazy drum solo.
Oh yeah, this was a banger.
I was telling Purnell, like, this is one of the early 3D games that had ring outs. So games didn't just end after you knocked your opponent's life down. Games can end super fast by just tossing him out the ring. So if your fight got to the point where you got to that drum solo, you're doing something wrong.
That's for sure. And I used to use Ellis, and my memory is a little hazy as to whether or not I actually was pulling off ring outs, but I definitely used her to keep the pressure on. She basically was like a speedy, dual dagger wielding character.
Yep.
And
I was like, yep, that's the character you would pick.
Exactly, right?
Super fast, super weak.
Oh, yeah, exactly. You're all about tapping those tap hits.
Super fast.
So this game launched with the PS1. This was a launch title.
Right.
And, janky 3D, but at the time it was amazing because 3D fighters, holy cow. And my friends would play this, and back then, I was very anti-fighting game. Like, I didn't play Street Fighter like that.
I mean, you're still not excited about them now.
But I was even less so back then. But this one was the first fighting game I came across that really did the anime fighters thing. Like, yeah, there was like flash hiders on the Turbo Graphics, but I couldn't afford flash hiders.
This had a style to it. Like, they really had that anime style they were going for. Now, there was an anime movie that came out, right?
Yeah, but it was an anime movie for Toshinden that we got a US release and everything.
Did that come out with the game, or was it?
Oh, it came later.
It came later.
It was one of those things. Like, there was a number of like anime adaptations that happened, and as anime started to pick up more in the States, which was around like '96.
Yeah, I used to go to Suncoast Video,
and it's like a wall of VHS tapes.
Yeah,
and most of them were in the adult section for no reason.
They were like, "It's anime." Like, I guess.
Want to buy Ranma 1/2? I need to see your ID, sir. Like, oh, come on. I don't know how many times I had to go up to the counter and go, "This is not adult. I don't know why you're making me show my ID, and I'm not even an adult, so just sell it to me, please."
This is a children's cartoon, and I'm an adult. Can I please buy this?
Yeah, exactly. It was so ridiculous. But like as it started becoming popular, I think it may have even been Viz. There was Viz and AD Vision. They were the two big dogs.
Vision. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They're not. Unfortunately, they're not around anymore though. But Viz is. And these were the guys that were putting out the majority of the anime releases. And I'm almost positive that Toshinden was more likely a AD Vision release. But if not, it was Viz. And if it was neither of those, then holy cow, maybe Media House or something did it. But point is, a lot of these like video game adaptations were like a good bridge to get people on board. It's like, hey, did you like Samurai Showdown? Here's the Samurai Showdown anime that released in Japan like 4 years ago, but now we're giving it to you because we know people want to watch them now. And of course, there was always the famous Street Fighter movie, which was like, I think the cut was like the big dog for like fighting video game into anime movie. Even got like the freaking US soundtrack with like Rob Zombie and mess in it.
Wait a minute. The anime Street Fighter movie you're talking about?
Yes.
I don't know what the soundtrack for that was, because I just discovered the soundtrack to the American Street Fighter live action movie.
Oh.
That soundtrack is crazy good.
The movie or the game?
For the movie, not the game based on the movie.
that titling through. There was actually a Street Fighter, the movie, the game. Okay.
Well, that's this. I mean, if you're okay with it, that could be my segue into my next track.
I think I am okay with it.
Okay, so first, so Street Fighter the movie was a movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme and Raul Julia and Kylie Minogue as Cammy.
And one of the most famous lines I can think of when people say is like, "You burned my village and destroyed my home, blah, blah, blah." For me, that was Tuesday.
For me, oh man, he played that like so over the top. So that soundtrack, the soundtrack to the actual movie has Ice Cube, it has The Far Side, it has Rally Row, it has all these amazing classic hip-hop like people on it. Like the entire soundtrack is almost all rap, like old school rap.
For the game.
For the movie.
For the movie. I gotta tell you flat out, this is not intentional. I'm making these genuine mistakes.
No. So it's really cool. So when they decided to make a game based on the movie about the game,
not the movie,
they did. They took a completely different tack because Mortal Kombat was hitting the arcades and making a big making a big scene in the arcades, right?
Mhm.
So what they did was they took images of the art of the actors, except for Raul Julia, who at the time was very, very sick and could not be in the game.
It was his last movie, wasn't it?
This was his last movie because he got very sick and couldn't do anything after that. So they wanted him to perform some of the moves, and they could do like the motion capture for the game, and then, of course, the jankiest 90s way possible. But he was not able to do that. So they got I forget the other actor they got to do it. I think it's the guy I think I know who did it. So I'll tell that in a
The fact
second.
that they actually got the E Honda actor to actually perform a flying headbutt was amazing.
I know he was in the hospital for weeks.
But he earned that.
So they got them all to do these what looks like a live action game of Street Fighter, but of course it doesn't really play that great. But it was first released in the arcades. I didn't know that. That has its own soundtrack. Then they took that and they ported it to the Sega Saturn, the Panasonic 3DO, which is how I first discovered it, and then also it was a release game for the PlayStation. It was a launch title.
It was a launch title?
A launch title for the Sony PlayStation. I didn't know this. And I believe that this one also has its own soundtrack. It's not credited at the end of the game. It's not credited in the manual.
Not even like a bun sort of deal?
Nowhere. I even reached out to the powers that be, Electric Boogaloo. And I mean, I'm like,
he couldn't find anything.
If he can't find it, then
it doesn't exist.
I don't know. So we know it's Capcom, though it was developed by Capcom. It was produced by Acclaim.
Okay.
So there's some weird stuff going on there as well.
So the days of Acclaim and Galoob and...
So this does not have Ice Cube on it. No, this does not have The Far Side. This does not have Nas. This is...
Iced coffee.
This is a Capcom-produced music. This is a Capcom-produced music. It's iced coffee. So I chose the theme for the character that's not in the original game. This was originally intended to be like the face of Street Fighter. They wanted to make this character be the like, oh, this is the new Street Fighter. This is like...
Oh, like they're bringing it to a new generation, that sort of deal?
Exactly. But instead we got Jean-Claude Van Damme as the all-American Guile.
Fight for what's might American.
The Muscles from Brussels is actually our all-American hero. But this is this Captain Sawada, who had like 3 scenes in the actual movie.
Oof.
And they made him a character in the game.
But was he a good character in the game?
He's hilarious. I'll link you to some playthroughs of there's a YouTube show called Super Couch Fighters that's amazing, and they pick him over and over again because he's so funny. But no, he was in the movie. I believe it's this actor who did the motion capture for M. Bison.
Oh,
Since Raul Julia was too sick to actually do that. In Japan, this game was also released, but it was not released as Street Fighter the movie, the game, because Street Fighter the movie was an anime in Japan. So they called it like something else. I think it translated to Street Fighter the Real People movie or something like that. It was a dumb name. The game.
Humans that punch.
Yeah, but it's still released there. And still they actually had reversed the names again. So Vega and Bison Balrog, they were all flipped around again.
Still wish I understood why they did that in the first place.
I think it's because M. Bison and Mike Tyson were too close together.
That's a good point.
That's my guess. But anyway, so I'm
Michael
picking
Bison.
This is the theme of Sawada, my boy Captain Sawada from Street Fighter, the movie, the game for the Sony PlayStation.
The soundtrack.
And this is actually, I really like the soundtrack. It's like one of my favorites. But the composer is unknown, so we can't credit them. This is the theme of Captain Sawada from the game Street Fighter the movie, the game for the Sony PlayStation.
The soundtrack.
The soundtrack. Composer is unknown. I love, like, it's got the cool sound effects. Like, this clearly takes place, like, in the jungle or...
I love this.
It's neat. You got the elephants, maybe. Maybe there are elephants in the background.
Like, I feel like I need to listen to more of this OST.
It's good.
This is really good.
Yeah, this is Capcom. I mean, this is, like, classic Capcom. This sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
I love this, actually, too. It's like a marimba or something. It's really neat. Like, it's got everything I like about Capcom, like arcade music. All right, so my story is, and I'm going to leave his name out of it, but...
Just call him Whack-a-Majoo.
Towards the end of high school. So he worked at a local bookstore, and they sold CDs.
Let's call him the Tertalitarian.
The Tertalitarian. And you would bring your PlayStation to him, like in the daytime, and behind the counter, you had a soldering iron and a bunch of tools, and he would modify your PlayStation.
Oh, on the clock.
On the clock.
Nice.
And hand it back to you, and then that PlayStation will be able to play whatever you wanted on it.
What year would you say this was?
Oh, man. 97?
Man, I wish I knew you
Maybe
guys
98?
back then, because I was using the key card method back then.
I think it was the end of high school. Yeah, so this way, like, so to make the PlayStation play non-branded discs, because when you started the machine up, it would read the disc to see if it was Sony or whatever, and then it would stop it. So the way to get around that, I think you it was probably like you stuck like a thing into it.
Yeah, I used to use the spring and the key card method, though if you didn't have those, some people flat out use paper clips.
Yeah, you stuck a paper clip in it so that the tray, the CD tray stayed. It thought it was still down while you opened it up and switched the game and put a new one in.
Yep.
This one was just you could just put whatever you wanted into it and it would spin right up.
So it would ignore the check.
Yeah, and so he made a little extra money on the side just by doing this. I think I still have it. I think it's still in the basement. It's a gray PlayStation with a little mark on it. I made it with a Sharpie, so I remembered which one it was.
Nice.
I just kept it forever. I doubt it still works, but it is down there.
I only did one hard mod to a console ever, and that was my Dreamcast. I love how we keep taking it back to Dreamcast.
Yeah, no,
yeah, I hard modded my Dreamcast, and then the freaking battery died. So in the end, when I got my next Dreamcast, I just used Utopia discs.
Yeah.
But it was very nice and convenient to just be able to say, I want to put this disc in, press power, and it would just run. No weird jankiness, no crazy techniques.
Could just do what you wanted with it. As a kid, not with a lot of money, like it worked out. And then I went to work at the arcade, and one of my birthdays, another friend of mine, who I will not name again.
Let's call him Turquoise Pete.
Turquoise Pete surprised me. Like, I wasn't expecting anything. No one's ever got me birthday presents. Like,
Turquoise Pete.
He showed up with a bag. It was a bag of discs.
Nice.
It was Metal Gear Solid. It was Siphon Filter. It was both Oddworld games. It was a bunch of games, and he had like printed out the covers of the CDs and like pasted them on the CDs themselves.
Oh, he went all in there.
It was so nice. It was the nicest gift. It was so great. I treasured it, and I played the hell out of those games. Like, I've never played as many games as I have at that one time. Like Oddworld, Metal Gear Solid. That was also the first year I got my own TV.
So you had your own space you had to share?
Yeah, I was still living at home. So we only ever had one TV in the house, except for the little tiny black and white TV I was playing Atari on that I got at a flea market for like $5. But no, I got my own TV, stuck it in my own room, and I was able to play Metal Gear Solid for as long as I wanted.
It's interesting to think
it's
back
so
on those
interesting.
days.
I look back and I'm like, man, I was poor.
Hey, I can relate.
I had like no money.
Like, I think back, it's funny because, like, on one hand, like, I would say the same thing, but I think it's just the way the circumstances played that made it different. Because what happened was, like, my family didn't have a lot of money, but I lucked into a good job at 16 because my mom worked at a bank, and she was friends with a former bank employee that ended up getting a job working for Core States.
That was like the most Delaware thing ever.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And it was like, hey, if your son wants a job,
banks.
we process credit card payments here. So they just threw me in there and I got a job working there. So it paid very well compared to what kids...
Yeah, that uncle, right? That uncle was in the games too.
Yeah, he used to, up until the when the PlayStation came, he was already beyond it. But with Super Nintendo and Genesis, though, he was number one.
Yeah, that's
awesome. He gave me everything. Yeah. But by the time the PlayStation was a thing, my luck came in the fact that getting this job, I made enough money that I was like, I can afford my own food because I was buying my own groceries at the time, and sometimes my clothing actually. But I was like, I can also afford to get cool video games. So I was buying a lot of games, almost every game. And what ended up happening was I learned about the magic and fun of burning. So what would happen is I would go to Blockbuster and rent a bunch of games, and I would burn them at home. But what would get weird is that
it should also be said that at this time, CD burners were not super common.
Yeah, they were rare.
And the ones that we had were like running at such a slow speed
2x.
that every once in a while they didn't work. You would spend like hours burning a disc only to find that it failed and you'd have to do it again.
It's actually funny to think back on those days now, because now you can burn a disc within minutes. But back then, if I were to burn a PS2 game, a PS1 game, which was never more than 600 megs, it could take me about 3 hours to get it done. And then I'm rolling the dice on if it worked or not. Like, if you bumped the computer, you could ruin it.
Yes, there was a I was like in a high school like band. I'm doing air quotes in a band, and we recorded some music, and just getting it on a CD was a triumph. It was like no one walk around the computer while it's burning. But like getting it on a CD was like, it felt really good. It was like, this is a thing now. Like, our stupid noises that we made can now be played in a stereo or a car.
It was glorious. Music, playing the music in classrooms and stuff. We did that a lot.
Yeah.
But like, I would go out and I would burn all these games.
Yeah.
I'd have like a spindle of games.
Yeah.
And all my neighborhood friends were all impressed. Like, man, they used to call me like the whiz kid and the genius, because I was the guy that could get all these games for them. But for me personally, I would take them home and I would try these games out. I'd put them in, like, I'm going to play this game. And then I'd put it away and go back to the games I bought. That was when I learned that my attachment worked weirdly with this stuff. Like, I was more interested in playing the games I bought than the burns. They were just kind of there to say, I got all the games, but I ain't playing them, but I got them. That did change, though, when importing became a thing.
Right.
Because imports, one, cost a stupid amount of money.
Now, you said when importing became a thing. Do you mean to say it's when you discovered JRPGs?
No, I mean literal imports. Like when I went to, what's that convention? NecoCon R in 1999. I met a couple of particular people, Lynn Brown and Eddie LaHecca, and a number of individuals who at the time were like the only scene for like Japanese rhythm games back then. And they introduced me to Poppin' Music 2 and Bust a Groove 2, which at the time I didn't even know got a sequel.
Yeah.
So when I learned it got a sequel, I lost some of my stuff. I was like, how do I get this sequel? It's like, well, it's only in Japan, but there are ways.
We got to find a way to get those. We'll play those on stream.
I still own it.
But to get those on a stream.
I still own it. Yeah,
I know. We just got to figure out all the wiring.
Touche. But yeah, like, I mean, it was just amazing to play these games, and I wanted more. So it was much easier to have a friend say, I got Pop Music 2, I'll burn you a copy. Or, I got Poppin' 3, I'll burn you a copy. So I don't have to worry about fighting importers to get copies of games.
That's how I was able to get all the DDR versions, because the American DDR on PlayStation didn't come out for. First of all, it didn't come out until forever.
Wasn't the first one DDR Chronicles or something like that?
Economics.
And that was like, even where all the good songs.
But when that came out, like I think we were already playing Fifth Mix, and Fifth Mix ran at 60 frames a second. Which, I mean, it's just arrows moving on a screen, people, right? Like, how hard is that? But Economics was still like the janky, like 30 frames a second. Like the timing was.
I would postulate that the first good home DDR game didn't even happen until the PS2 with DDR Max.
Fifth was good. I gotta say, when Fifth came out, Fifth and Extreme were the first games where you could actually like time and play well play for score well.
So Fifth Mix, but then that would mean Fifth Mix, and then Max 2 and Extreme.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, then Extreme. Extreme's my baby. that's the one I love. But I put so many hours into Max 2 though, like an insane amount of hours into Max 2. Because Max, when Max came out, the only arcade machine I knew about was the old Fun and Games arcade way up close to New York, up in New Jersey.
Oh, not the Break.
No, it was further than the Break. It was up, and it was called Fun and Games. And then the Break got Max 2.
Ah.
And then Max 2 showed up pretty much everywhere. I actually used to play Max 2 at the Exton Mall.
Those were the days, man.
Like
traveling
the old school
on
Exton
adventures
Mall.
For music games.
Yeah. Wow, we used to do that a lot.
Yes.
I feel like that. Like when I first went back to round one, it felt like the same.
Yeah.
Like I was like driving like, wonder if they're going to have what I want. I wonder if it's going to be there ready to play.
Oh, you'll love this, by the way.
Okay, yeah.
So they just opened a round 1 in Towson, Maryland, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, yay, they'll have music games. Maybe they'll get the popping that we didn't get because, we're stuck with 19 or whatever, which sounds much worse than it actually sounds much better than it actually is. But turns out they got nothing. I think you were the one that was telling me that there's like a DDR pad material shortage or something going on. And apparently it's there because they got no dance machines.
Yeah, Japan's they've only are releasing so many machines to America. Like they're the only ones producing them. They're only releasing them so many places.
And they definitely put the squeeze on them because they haven't gotten them. They have no dance machines. They only have 2DX apparently. That's the only rhythm game they got.
No Pump It Up, no Dance Rush.
Nope. He says they only got 2DX, which blows my mind.
Other side of the coin, like not even 15 minutes away from Exton is the Fashion District in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I saw the sign up there. I was there for PAX Unplugged, and the sign for round 1 was there.
I'm sure our listeners are loving this right now. They have Guitarradora with the Drummania, or whatever it's called, but it's like the last version where it's 2 guitars plus the drum machine.
So they got a good one,
and it's an enormous like stage like setup.
Ooh!
Like people are like actually like not breaking into the mall, but like putting their cameras like behind the doors to like say like this is what they've got. This is what they've got. They've got.
So it's not open yet, but they're still setting it up.
Yeah, the people in the Philly Rhythm Games group on Facebook, some of them work for round 1, and they're like they're getting pictures.
If they have a good pop in music, I will be going there for this.
The 2DX machine they have is like half destroyed. Apparently, there's like a machine that was like beat up to hell, and it just keeps getting
passed
around from location to location. But like, they have like 3 of them at the Exton one and PA.
They should stay there. Keep them there.
I'm like, whatever. It's Beatmania.
Just give us a good pop.
I talked to other people into rhythm games, and they're like, Beatmania is not like the music's good, but it's not.
But the game isn't fun.
It's not exciting. Yeah, it hasn't changed for like 20 years.
Yeah, I'm Beatmania. I don't enjoy playing. I like the music. If you could put all that music in pop, and I'd be a happy camper.
It'd be different. Yeah, 9 buttons. No
whack-a-mole.
Yeah, whack-a-mole. All right, we should keep moving on. We've heard this song loop like 20 times.
Sorry, guys. Hope you enjoyed the Gabba Gabba Hey, though.
Yeah. All right, so we are on to your second track.
So, moving up from the PlayStation 1, we have the PlayStation 2, a system that I purchased on release day on October 26, 2000. A system that I almost quit my job for because I pre-ordered it in February. And then they told me I wasn't allowed to pre-order it months later because I was an employee. And I said, well, if I can't pre-order as an employee, I quit.
Wow.
And I will buy it.
Because I was working at Electronics Boutique. We were in the same mall at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was amazing that they were like trying to pull them. I was like, no, I want my system. Give it to me or I quit.
Mm-hmm.
So I got it. And then I'll tell the rest of the story when the next track is playing. But let's get to the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, I didn't know talking.
The Adventures of Cookie and Cream.
Ooh, good one.
Boss 4 from the water stage. Torpedo, the Jerkbag Fish. That's not the name of the track, but that is where it's from. The composers of this game are Kota, Hoshino, and Ikuya Ichinoke. Welcome back. You're listening to the boss theme for World 4, the water stage from the game The Adventures of Cookie and Cream. The PlayStation 2, composed by Kota Hoshino and Ikuya Ichinoke.
I just moved the microphone in the way of the paper.
What's going on this side?
I was like, the microphone's drooping. Again, I need to get a new boom.
So Cookie and Cream was not a launch game for the PS2.
Yeah, you introduced this game to me.
Yes, and this was actually one of From Software's earliest games.
Oh wow! I didn't know that.
Yeah, no one talks about it, which is sad because this is one of my favorite co-op games. Now, when PS2 came out, I purchased it again on launch, but most of the games on launch didn't really appeal to me. There was like this one game based on an anime called Orphan, which I didn't bother to buy.
Oh, that was an anime? Mm-hmm. Oh, weird.
And there was Evergrace, which I for some reason didn't jump on. I think that was also From Software.
Yeah. That was like a first person but RPG. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I ended up buying SSX snowboarding.
That was fun.
Which is odd because everyone liked SSX, but I couldn't get into it. And you want to know why? Take one shot in the dark. I bet you'll guess.
Music?
Yes. I couldn't. It was all licensed stuff that I didn't care about.
Yeah, I was into it.
And while they did have, even though it was a cool mechanic at the time, I didn't appreciate it, which was how when you went up, like got airtime, the music would just drown out. Yeah. So not only was I not enjoying the music, but it was also drowning out when I got airtime. I was like, I'm not feeling SSX.
Instead of making the music adaptive with different like pieces of melodies changing here and there during certain points of the game, it actually like created like it would like filter the sounds and do all this weird stuff based on what you were doing.
Yeah, it's like almost like you're up, like being up in the mountains or whatever. It's like it gets quieter, like sound dampens.
Yeah,
and then you get just like boom, and you're back on the track.
It got me. I was way into it. But a Cookies and Cream, that was a game that was 2 players but on the same controller, right?
Not exactly that. You could do that. So
the way and then maybe it was the way you showed it to me or the way I read about it was that you actually play 2 characters at the same time.
Yes,
using each of the dual analog sticks.
And that's what I was thinking.
That was kind of cool.
You pretty much nailed it. So this game,
I'm getting like a cold or something. So
snort,
well,
snivel.
I'm sure I'm awesome to listen to.
Nasally, I'm messing with you. So this was the first game I bought post SSX. And it was the first game that I fell in love with on the system. And it came out on April 30th, 2001. So nail that one down.
Oh, wow.
My PS2 was pretty much collecting dust from
like
October 26, 2000 to April 30th, 2001. I was playing Dreamcast instead. But this was the first game on the system that made me go, I want to play my PS2. And like Rob said, it was 2 characters at one time on the screen. The screen was split down the middle.
Right. And
you were kind of controlling them both. It was meant to be played with 2 players, either with their own controllers or with the same controller holding hands. But if you were playing alone, like me typically, the idea was you would play the same controller, controlling the one character with the left hand and the other character with your right hand. And that mess got confusing. You're like taking one rabbit, making them grab a lever, and then pulling it so you can get the crocodile out of the way so that the other rabbit can cross the stream. Yeah, and you're trying to maneuver all that with 2 hands.
It became like a brain bender. Yeah, it was really cool.
It was a fantastic game, but of course it was a clock too, where if you ran out of time, a hungry clock monster would chase you, and now you got one hand making one rabbit dodge the clock while the other rabbit's trying to manipulate a switch to get the chased rabbit to cross the street. It was ridiculous.
Wow, so you got this in 2001. I remember you brought this over when we moved into the condo. That was back in 04, 03 or 04.
Yeah, because Cookies and Cream is eternal, baby.
Because it was not soon after we got married, or not so far after we got married. And you were like, all right, you have a PlayStation 2 now. You got to play these games. Because all I had was like Gran Turismo.
And I had a stack by then.
Final Fantasy X. That's like all I was playing.
But spoiler, he's still playing Final Fantasy X.
Of those 2 games, which one I'm playing? No, I've actually stopped playing 10. I'll probably if I ever get back into like a stressful time in my life, I'll probably start playing it again.
You'll enjoy this statement though. At least I actually got chastised hard for dishing Blitzball not too long ago on a forum.
Oh really? I mean, you know what?
People are like, actually, sir, if you choose your team wisely, it's a very fun game. I'm like, what? What dimension have I stepped into?
Okay, I played 44 or 45 games, and I counted them because I didn't want to play any more than that.
Yeah, like, it's not fun.
Like, I figured it out. I understood where the challenge was coming from. I realized it's like a sports game. It's a sports game. I'm not into it.
Yeah, like
it's not even a fun sports game.
Like I get what they were gunning for, I get what the attempt was, but just because they nailed the intent doesn't mean the intent is fun.
I'll say this: I learned how to cheese the computer just to get through the matches, if I didn't learn that and actually had to like play through the game proper, it would have been so much longer.
So much more horrible.
So much more horrible. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not talking about Final Fantasy X. Again, I've done enough of that on this show.
Though also one
Adventures of Cookies and Cream. You coming to my house saying you and Christy are gonna love this game. We played it a few times. We didn't really get into it for whatever reason.
Because I was trying to get them into it. Like, this is a great couples game. And since I don't know anything about being a couple, I'm gonna give this game to a couple to see what they think.
Like, look at this game. Relationships?
Literally, that's pretty much what it was.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, you don't like it. One rabbit pulls a cable. The other rabbit crosses. Why do you not like this?
No. It's cool. It's a really cool game. And this song is really interesting. It sounds like the rhythm's like almost kind of off. Like it's just, there's so much happening at one time.
Yeah, bosses can
really
get pretty chaotic because whereas the rest of the game you were always on separate screens.
Yeah, but it's always like it's all linear still. Like you're just moving forward from start to finish.
Yes.
Yeah.
But with a boss, it's usually some form of arena. And both rabbits are in the same environment together. Though sometimes one rabbit will be a kind of isolated. Like, for example, there's one boss where you're one rabbit's trapped in like a gladiator arena, and the other rabbit's up on the rafters. And the arena rabbit has to lead the boss towards like these like wooden pillars, and then the upper level rabbit has to like drop pillars on top of the monster when he's running under him, stuff like that. So in the case of this boss, I barely remember him, but I know he basically was like jumping out of the water and trying to eat you, and like you were like trying to basically have to pull a cord. It was weird. Anyway, the point is, boss fights in this game were very hectic because you were trying to figure out one, what the heck they wanted you to do because they were like puzzles in a sense,
Right.
and then two, coordinate yourself to make both rabbits do what they're supposed to do to lead bosses and feet. I love Cookies and Cream.
Yeah, no, that's another one I kind of want to play again. Like,
it's still good.
I would like to play this again with you because I feel like we would be good at like coordinating with each other.
And yelling at each other.
I will say that we went to Matt's a while back and we played Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time.
I would play that today.
That was awesome. But we also played Overcooked.
Also awesome.
It was good. Because you and Matt knew what you were doing, I felt like I was just being like a sous chef.
That's right.
They're like, Rob, go here. Rob, go there. Rob, go here. Rob, go there. And I'm like,
that's one of the best things about Overcooked.
This is just work. Like, you guys are having fun.
I'm Gordon Ramsay in that game, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. You're an Indian sandwich. Take the plate. Move it over there. How hard is it to make a salad, all right? I put the ingredients there for you. Just chop it up.
Both cursing like a sailor, so yeah, Gordon Ramsay.
Yes, that game brings it out of a person. Like, what did I tell you about cooking properly? What are the 5 steps of proper cooking etiquette? Do it quickly. Do it effectively. Don't step on rats. Don't spill the food. Get 3 stars.
And watch the tutorial.
Watch the tutorial. I love that game so friggin' much.
All right, so let's move on to my final track. This is from one more release game. It was called Raiden Project. So Raiden was an overhead vertical shooter in the arcades. Raiden Project, I think, was a collection of the Raiden games for the Sony PlayStation. So this one is called, if I have the right one in front of me, is the first stage from Raiden 2 called Repeated Tragedy, which is, they've all got crazy names. And this is for the Sony PlayStation. I love this part. It's so good. Let's go through it one more time. Just this opening. Love it. Love it. Man, I love that. This is called The Repeated Tragedy, which is the first stage from Raiden 2 on the game Raiden Project for the Sony PlayStation, composed by Go Sato, credited as Rise.
This doesn't sound anything like a tragedy. This thing sounds immaculate.
Good. It's really good. So my guess is that, because Raiden 2 was also in the arcade on its own hardware, so like you would imagine how an arcade game would sound in the 90s. This sounds way cleaner. So I think that they like arranged it on like the original synthesizers and then recorded it CD quality for the game on the PlayStation, because it sounds really clean.
I gotta mention this to Rob real quick so he's not like, what the heck is Purnell doing? Because I keep looking at my cell phone.
Yeah, what's happening? Are you're Pokemoning it up, aren't you?
That's right. No, what actually is happening is like right now, apparently the Game Awards are on, and friend of the show and listener of the show, Matt, is texting me. He's like, by the way, the Game Awards are. I'm like, give me the deets. We're recording, but if anything crazy happens, you gotta text it to me. Because on one hand, I'm not generally big on like awards aside from like the general gossip of it all, because I like hearing about things I like winning awards, like Control getting Game of the friggin' Year, which was unexpected, but Remedy, the game show, deserved that mess.
Yeah, Control looks cool, by the way. Anyway, yeah.
It is. It's really good. But it just me, like, every once in a while he'll like text me like, oh, what's going on? And he's like, nothing yet, but it's coming. You're gonna like it. I'm like, okay, just tell me the good stuff.
So you're watching out for updates.
Yeah, I want to hear. There's a rumor that they're going to announce who the next Smash character is, and I'm genuinely curious because the rumors have been swirling on that.
It's you. You just take a picture of yourself.
I friggin' wish. I would love to be a Smash Brothers character so much. I would like to be a fighting game character just because I want the absurdity of a moveset. Mm-hmm. How cool would that be to have a moveset?
Maybe that'll be like the next game that I work on, is I just like all the pictures that I have of you already for like the podcast photos that I do, and I just digitize you into like a Mortal Kombat style game.
But then we'd have to both be in it, otherwise it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be in the background like going like, yeah, like raising my fist in the air, like yeah.
You can throw wall turkeys onto the screen.
Yeah, and I'm in the back like killing a chicken, like in the back of Chun-Li's stage. Anyway, so I chose the Raiden Project stage. I've never really played a lot of Raiden, although I like it a lot. I love the style of it a whole lot. It's very classic, like classic space shoot-'em-up type game. But this track reminds me so much of the modern synthwave movement that's happening right now with bands like Gunship and Time Cop 1983, which I am...
Wait, that is the name of the band? They actually have the year?
That's the name of the band. It's one guy with, I think, some other... guest artists, but it's called Time Cop 1983.
Hey man, your music is awesome. What do we call you? Time Cop 1983. Is that the year you decided to make music? No,
it's so good.
It's just the year so I want to be known under.
But when you hear these opening chords on this track, like it's so big, it's so smooth, and then the first lines of that keyboard hits, it feels good. To me, it feels really good. And then there's really cheesy sounding drum fills.
Don't you call it cheesy? Yes,
they're pretty cheesy.
That is a masterpiece.
They're pretty cheesy.
It made me feel like I was back in the 90s, radically skating down that cool half pipe, looking for the next big curl, making up words that don't make sense.
But remember, man,
all those things.
Like, I don't know about you, but like the PlayStation was just hooked up to a TV and just those TV speakers. So like we weren't getting this level of like hearing the full surround, like hearing the full stereo, hearing the full spectrum of like the bass and the treble. Like we were just hearing like what was coming out the TV speakers.
Back then I had a 25-inch Magnavox, which I bought with my very last KB Toys paycheck. And it was a blessing. Before that I had straight up rabbit ears.
I threw it through the window. Take that, KB Toys.
I actually had that TV for a long time. I didn't replace it. I bought it in 1996, and I didn't replace it until 2007.
You have a tube TV like upstairs in one of your rooms now, right? Still, but it's not that one. Right?
But I'm about to ditch that and replace it with another tube TV. A friend of mine was giving me a Sony Wega, which is going to be awesome. That was like top of the line for like tubes back in the day.
That really was, yeah.
Downside is now I got to figure out what to do with this tube TV because it's not really easy to get rid of tube TVs these days.
Well, the people who play competitive Smash Brothers on the GameCube, they're going to want it. Yeah.
So if you're listening and I haven't thrown it out in a legal dumpster yet, if you're interested in getting this TV.
Past guest of the show, Mitchell Wong, and game composer of game Kayin that just came out. They love Smash. I don't know if they play that version of Smash, but I'm always like
Melee.
I was like, oh, competitive Smash, go for it, but they might be into it. So we're on to your final track. So we've gone PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2,
PlayStation 3. Ooh. Probably one of the more humorous of the PlayStation releases because there's a history behind that, which I'll get into while this awesome track is playing because as many times as I can listen to it loop, the better. So this comes from the game Disgaea 3. I want to say it was Absence of Justice. And the track is titled Modern Times, composed by my buddy Tempei Sato. He's not really my buddy. But
he's your
like
buddy. No, it's your buddy. He's your buddy.
We never even had tea together.
You send him Facebook messages and he keeps ignoring you.
That is true.
You know he's reading it.
He's reading. He's happy he's getting the messages. Welcome back. You're listening to Modern Times from the game Disgaea 3, Absence of Justice, composed by Tempei Sato for the PlayStation 3 console. So, before I talk about the game itself, let's talk about the PlayStation 3. So, for those in the know, and maybe those who are not in the know, we know that the PlayStation 2 was pretty much the 90 cuts above the rest when it was at its peak.
The PlayStation 2 was a fantastic console. Tons of fun mainstream games, tons of fun wacky games, tons of crazy, innovative games that never made it to the States.
Yes!
Lots of good stuff. Right.
So as a result, you would have thought that Sony could do no wrong. They could take a Kleenex box put a CD drive in it, and people would buy it as the PlayStation 3. Unfortunately, Sony also knew that. So what they did was they decided to release a monolith of a console, charging $600 for it.
Oh my god.
The date of release, of course, being November 17th, 2006, at a whopping price at the time of $600. They told you flat out in a press conference, you'll get a second job for this system.
What was the... Yeah, that's so funny. What was the date that it came out again?
November 17th, 2006.
That's right. It was a cold, rainy night when that was released. Because I was working at an office right next to a Target. And the night that came out, people were camping.
Oh, they lined up?
They lined up and they were camping in front of the store. There were tents and people in sleeping bags in the street. and it was disgusting outside.
And
I
the funny
couldn't
thing
believe
about it, in an unprecedented for Purnell scenario, I was not one of those people.
You were not there.
I skipped the living daylights out of the PS3 launch because, quite frankly, the guy was arrogant, the price was too high, and I just wasn't having it. And it's funny, too, because I genuinely, at the time, liked Ken Kutaragi. He was like pretty much the father of PlayStation. I liked his mantra of he wanted to make a game console franchise or whatever that was respected by adults just as much as kids, which at the time of the PS1...
Which was make a giant console that looks like a VCR.
Oh, PS1. That was his vision back in the PS1.
Okay.
He wanted to have a console like that. But like with the PS3, I was like, no more. I'm not paying $600. Get a second job. Kiss my butt, Ken. I ain't getting down with that. Massive crabs for enemy damage. Whatever the heck that crazy line was. That was a famous like press conference line. They were interviewing.
I wasn't following games at that time.
It was like a game called Kenji. It was like, hit the crab's weak spot, hit the massive enemy crab's weak spot for massive damage. Some funny line that people still say sometimes. But I ignored this system for a long time. Unfortunately, during the window which I was ignoring it, they stopped putting the PS2 hardware in the system, so it lost the hardware backwards compatibility, which was a part of why the system cost $600, which I didn't get back then. Still wouldn't have bought because I was a cheap jerk. Anyway, fast forward to 2008, when two things happened. One, they released a version of the PlayStation 3 that moved from hardware emulation of the PS2 or hardware play of the PS2 to emulation of the PS2. A little bit of a price cut, coming with Metal Gear Solid 4, which I've still never played, and announcement of Disgaea 3, a franchise that at the time for me could do no friggin' wrong.
Okay.
I was obsessed with Disgaea games. The OSTs.
So Disgaea and the promise of software emulation of the PlayStation 2 was like, it just sold you on this thing.
That is correct, good sir. And at the time, Walmart, only in Maryland at the time, had a really good deal going on to get one. So I drove quite a ways to get one of these PS3s.
Well, where in Maryland?
But still.
You're like, don't worry about it.
It was out there. It was crazy in the wilds.
It's a big state.
It's a big state. Lots of crazy stuff. But I drove down there. I picked it up. I've actually driven to Maryland for my JPS2 also, which is funny. That was a longer drive. And I had to beg a friend because I didn't even have a car back then. But it was amazing. Like, I drove in there, I got the system, hooked it up, and then got my Disgaea 3, and I got lost in the sauce with this thing. I was obsessed with it. And the premise of the game is just ridiculously stupid. So the idea is, well, all the Disgaea games typically involve the netherworld in some capacity.
Right.
Basically, demons hanging out doing demony stuff. But cartoony. Premise of Disgaea 3 was going to a place called Evil Academy, a school for demons. But even though they had all these wacky concepts to it, none of it made sense because the most well-esteemed demons never went to class. So to be a good student, you don't go to school. But they still had homeroom teachers. And they still had people to note that you didn't go to class. And
so like all of the infrastructure was like there.
Yeah, you had this entire school that no one attends. How? And then they grade you by your EQ, your evil quotient.
That's funny.
It was some weird stuff there, but the track in particular here.
This is fun.
This track would play
Yeah.
in class.
This is the class.
Because of course you're not supposed to be in class, but this plays in class. So, Disgaea games are strategy games, strategy role-playing games. But they always do weird mechanics to make you want to min-max your characters, get the most damage possible, whatever.
Yeah.
In the case of this game, one of the mechanics for it was the classroom system. You would go to class, and every character in your party had a seat in class, and you had a homeroom teacher. Each homeroom teacher affected the kind of stats your class would actually build up as they leveled up. In addition, if you set students next to each other at their desks, they were more likely to perform combo attacks on the battlefield. So you were sitting there trying to determine which student should sit next to who, but who not to put next to who.
So if you put students on the battlefield that you weren't normally in class with or sitting next to, they would not do combo attacks?
They would, just the frequency wasn't there.
The frequency wasn't as there.
Like if you put like 4 kids next to each other or 4 demons next to each other, like in a T formation in the seats, you would probably get like a 90% chance of all four of them joining together if you have them together in the field battling somebody.
So how did you feel about this?
Oh, I was obsessed with it. I was quite fond of moving people around the desk, getting the right classroom configuration set up while listening to this banger of a track.
Yeah, this sounds like something I know you'd be into. It's got like a surf rock kind of thing to it, but Tempei Sato.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like it's got that production to it, you know, with the extra keyboards and like the drums. It's nice.
Such a good track, and I still like to make fun of the main character's voice in the game because it was so funny. It's like, what was it? He was like the most evil student at Evil Academy. He was like also the overlord somehow. His name was like Mao, and he would talk like he's like, "Wonderful! I am so intelligent. I have an IQ of 1.8 million EQ." It was just this amazing voice.
That sounds like you trying to do the voice of Chris Smith.
That's pretty much him.
Pretending to be like a super nerdy white, I mean, which we are, but like, that's funny.
Like, sir, what was your inspiration for this character's voice? Well, you see, there's this guy named Purnell, right?
Yeah.
And he has this voice that when he's trying to imitate another guy, he sounds like this. I want to hit that note. Wonderful.
That's funny. Like, it's like a
smash.
Yeah, it's like a wavering to the voice. Oh.
Gotta get it right.
Oh, good.
It was so crazy. I love his voice.
Purnell, I think it's time for the bonus round.
Bonus round. Yes.
The bonus round is the part of the show where we play covers and remixes and arrangements on our theme. And our theme this week is PlayStation or PlayStation memories, honestly. Our fond memories of early PlayStation days. So my last track is coming from Ridge Racer 1.
Ridge Racer.
Which was also a launch title. I didn't realize that. So Ridge Racer was mostly composed by Shinji Hosoe, which is a fantastic composer. And this is an arranged album that came out in 2013. And it has a lot of great composers on it. It has Rob KTA, who's going to be at MagFest this year. He's coming from the UK. He's so good. Joshua Morse, Andy Lofton, and a few others. Blind and DJ Cutman. I think it was released by Game Chops.
Wait, Blind was on this?
Yeah.
Oh, the album. Okay. I was like, wait a minute. He composed for Ridge Racer?
No. This is for the album. This is for the arranged album. And so all the tracks are from different games. So some are from Ridge Racer, some are from Ridge Racer 2 and Type 4. This is Gear Shifter, which is from Ridge Racer 1, composed by Shinji Hosoe, and it's arranged by Joshua Morse and Anthony Lofton. We're just feeling the music.
I was feeling the groove.
We were both feeling it. That was Gear Shifter from the album Ridge Racer, arranged 2013, composed by Shinji Hisoe and arranged by Joshua Morse and Anthony Lofton.
That was one heck of an arrangement.
That's so good. I mean, it's got like the synthesizers, the drum beat, the guitar, the piano. It's all there, man.
It was a perfect amalgamation of glorious
jazz, chiptune, dance music. It's like it's all
popcorn, gravy,
green beans,
turkey.
I think it's dinner time.
All the stuffing. I don't
the,
even like stuffing.
All the fixins are in there. That's so good. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I'm surprised I haven't played more from this album.
That's about to change, I wager.
Yeah, I think so. All right, so you brought something a little different, right?
Yes, and I'm not going to say what it is just yet. I'm just going to announce what the track title is. This is from the game Castlevania Chronicles. It is Bloody Tears. We all know what Bloody Tears is. And it's composed by Akihiro Honda. Or Akihiro Honda. I'm sorry.
Wonderful. That was so good, Purnell.
Welcome back. You're listening to Bloody Tears from the game Castlevania Chronicles for the PlayStation 1, composed by Akihiro Honda. Now, you might be wondering what the heck that thing was at the beginning leading into this.
Yes, Purnell.
So, interesting story. So, a couple days ago, couple days prior to this episode's recording anyway, there was an article that came out on the hardtimes.net, which for those who are not aware is a parody website, video games, music, just pop culture.
Yeah.
And the article's title was classic pianist not all that great because he can't play Castlevania music. So it was a running joke. Everyone was laughing at it. And one of my friends shared it with another friend, a friend that goes by the name of Richardson or Pello. And he read the article and laughed. And then like his fiance, or rather his wife said, "Hey, I got this film. I'm going to come home. He's going to be practicing this." And he's like, "You better believe it." So, of course, that evening...
He was working on it?
It was almost immediate, actually. He got home from work, sat down at the piano, said, "Let me try and see what I can do with this." So, he decided to create what he never titled, so I'm going to call it Prelude to Bloody Tears. That's the name of the track. that I just came up with today because it's that simple. But he decided to see what he could do to just kind of randomly come up with a lead-in to Bloody Tears.
Right.
And then he started playing Bloody Tears, all just on fingers. Like, I can do this. And it was an amazing thing. And not only did it just sound really good to me, but it also, one, it was at the spur of the moment, just him just saying, I'm going to do this, which shows insane amounts of talent.
Right.
It also
Yeah.
makes me want him and other people, for that matter, to do more stuff like this. There's just something cool about being able to say, I've heard this track.
Yeah, it's the new viral social media thing. It's the Bloody Tears challenge.
Bloody Tears challenge.
Don't worry about throwing ice water on your head. You just get a
Throw
piano.
Bloody Tears.
Throw Bloody Tears on your head.
So now I got to take an instrument, guitar, violin, piano, whatever you're good at, and try to get a little like wingy dingy with tracks you like. Like in his case, it was like a lead-in to the classic track. So it was like him as his prelude. Do like a prelude to something else. Maybe like a rock ballad lead-in to like something you like that you already listen to. Just something that just adds a little extra creativity to that thing you already love.
Take it from Purnell.
A guy who can't play any instruments but the triangle.
It's for a good cause. it's going
children's laughter.
Yeah, it's for children's laughter. It will make children laugh at you.
No, laugh with you.
With you, of course. Well, for more information on the bonus round part of the show, go to rhythmandpixels.com. We'll have links to the SoundClouds and Bandcamps and web pages everywhere where you can go and download the music, buy the music, and support these awesome artists. Thanks for joining us on episode 21-2 of Rhythm and Pixels. This is we're calling it the PlayStation Power Hour.
Powerful.
It's a very powerful episode.
And wonderful.
I love this. It's a beautiful...
It's such a beautiful track.
That's a great episode. This is really like just you and I like getting all nostalgic about pleasant PlayStation memories.
Yeah, it's like it was a fantastic system franchise, and so many wonderful games have come through this machine that have been the foundation for a plethora of memories that are carried to this very day.
Oh, yeah.
And I stand by my belief that if it were not for the PlayStation's success and how things took place on it, JRPGs in America would not be where they are right now.
No, that's true. I feel like the Sony PlayStation is where they really got hold. I mean, the Final Fantasy VII, I think, has really introduced more people to it.
Mm-hmm. But even like leading up to that, like there was Wild Arms, Sweet Coton, well, Beyond the Beyond, but we typically don't speak of that. But there was just this boom, and it was all on account of that machine. And like you said, Final Fantasy VII was the juggernaut that just finally said, you know what? These games can be profitable there. Let's release a crap ton of them. And then we got everything, including things like Night and Baby and, I don't even know what that Eternal Eyes. Just a lot of random games you would have never seen come out in America up to this point.
A lot of them are probably worth some money now, huh?
I wonder
I wonder
if I could, maybe that'll be the episode image if I can find it. I took a picture years ago of every PS1 RPG I still own, the cases of all of them. And I think I have like 50-something. And I know a couple of them are worth money, like the Arc Lag Collection, Lunar 2.
So find that picture or take a picture again. I think our listeners might be interested in that. Yeah.
All right, see if I can dig it up.
But if you'd like to get in contact with the show, if you have any track suggestions, if you have episode title suggestions, or if you're an artist, if you're a remix artist or a cover artist, we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email.
rhythmandpixels@hotmail.com.
And we do read all the emails that we get, and it always feels good when we see them. And we will respond in kind. No, we will respond. And if you want more information about our show, full track listings from all the episodes, access to every episode, and links to all the other fun stuff that we're doing, go to the website,
rhythmandpixels.com.
And that's a good spot to go. There's also a link to our Discord server,
which I suck at using, but man, I need to get better.
Yeah, it's fun. And you know what? From there, go to the look up the VGM Podcast Fans Discord. Yes. You can get that linked from Facebook. So you can catch us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. It's Rhythm and Pixels, all one word. And there's
Pumpkintopia.
And there's also the group, the VGM Podcast Fans group on Facebook. There's a lot of good, friendly people there. It's really nice. And the Discord, there's a lot of conversation happening there. Meet other people, and talk to them, and share music and share happy memories. It's really inclusive. Everyone's just really friendly. There's no like gatekeeping. There's no people like
Let's keep it
saying like I'm more of a nerd than you are. There's none of that. It's really friendly. So check that out. And if you'd like to support the show, just tell people about it. Christmas is coming. Give podcast this year.
Rap sound.
Wrap it up.
Just the box opens up and this booming bass comes out.
Ooh,
Rhythm and Pixels.
Perfect. There's those cards that like you can record into it and you open it up and it like sings to you.
Open the cup. Ready?
Ready? You open it up and remember.
That would be great.
That'd be really good.
And remember, Merry Christmas.
Or if you don't want to do that, you can also support us by going to patreon.com/rhythmandpixels. And there, the money goes to help pay for the equipment, pays for the just pays for everything, which is great, and it also keeps us going. And you also get access to a live streamed episode of the show every month. It's just a regular episode, but you get to hang out with us while we record it
and submit tunes if you're interested.
And you get to submit some tunes, definitely. I always forget about mentioning that part. And we also like to give a shout out to all of our Patreon members at the end of the show. So we like to start with that Nick Walker, Mike Meyers, new patron, Andreas Mielberg. Thank you very much. Andreas Melberg. Thank you so much.
Welcome aboard.
Dan Loughton, Phantom Jest, Steve Miller, The Autistic Gamer 89, Cameron Werma, Christopher Shenstrom, Bobby Arson of One Up Funk, Wicked Sephiroth, OK Impala, Kung Fu Carlito of the Heroes 3 podcast, which we might be doing some more with him in the audio space.
Oh, yeah.
And it turns out that I am kind of tangentially working with him in the game development space, so it's cool to be working with him. Michael Bridgewater from the Forever Sound Version podcast. Brian Pitt. Chris Murray.
King of Game Trade and Transfer. My God.
That guy beats some games.
Yes, he
finishes them up. He sweeps them up. We like to thank Bruce Irons of the Mad Gear. Ed Wilson of the VG Embassy podcast. He just has a podcast out with another Patreon member of ours, Bedroth, that's all about symphonic and orchestral music. It's really good. So go listen to that. Alexander Proudfoot, Davy Cakes, The Dude, The Last Weekend, Bedroth, again, Jupiter Jazz, Solace Sanctuary, Mix Six Master, Damian Beckles, Joe Vasallo, Chris Steenerson, Alex the Messenger, patron saint of all VGM podcasts, and David Smith. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you so much for your continued support of the show. It all helps. Every little bit helps.
Thanks for being wonderful people.
You're all wonderful.
And you're very appreciated.
Yes.
Believe that.
Maybe for Christmas, I'll say your name twice.
In a box.
Anyway, that's it. I think so. Our next few episodes is going to be all about the best of the year, the best of the decade, the best of you.
I'm even trying to think of possibly a bit of a contest or a sweepstakes bit, but if I can think of it, I will let it be known on the next episode, most likely.
Yeah.
As a sort of, hey, it's Christmas, do a Christmassy thing. So we'll see.
That'd be kind of nice. But until we think of those things, we'll see you next week. My name's Rob Nichols.
And I'm Pernell.
It's Rhythm and Pixels. So we'll see you next time.
And remember, this is honestly one I need to hear probably once or twice a week. You might find yourself, video games is a pretty time-consuming, fun, but time-consuming hobby. And you might have your moments here and there where you might find yourself thinking, man, I really should have been doing something else with that video game time. I could have been an astronaut. I could have been a soccer star or something not as far-fetched, but also authentic. But it's worth remembering that there's an old saying that time enjoyed is not time wasted. And though you may not have these things that which you wish or believe you could have had if you weren't into video games, you did get something else instead by being into video games. That being the experiences that came from them, the memories you built by playing them, the interactions socially you acquired by being into video games.
The community.
Yes, there's such a good community. And through the VGM community, far less toxic than the community at large. So thank heaven for that. But there's so much that does come out of video games. And most importantly of all, if you're feeling that way about it, even if once you come out of that state, it's not too late. You can still make changes. You can still grow as a person and still do those things you wish you did prior. You're not dead yet. Keep moving forward and see what you can pull off with the time you have. Have fun and work hard and play hard. Wonderful.
This is kind of like an 80s Christmas movie, like music.
It's featuring the wizard.
Wait, he's flying.
Rudy!
He's flying. Santa. Santa's here?
Nah, he's over there.
Wait, who's on the roof?
Get my gun.
Oh no. We all learned a new lesson that day.
Make sure to cover the chimney flume for would-be invaders. Martian invaders.
Martian invaders.